Our next presentation is Native Restoration of Urban and Suburban Land by Stephen Kelty from Endemic LC. And I'd like to turn the time over to Stephen.
Thank you. When one imagines species extinction, they might think of black rhinos being shot by poachers, the illegal collection of plants or animals for the pet trade, or sharks being caught for their fins. These types of extinctions are well represented in basic education and wildlife documentaries. However, they do not represent the majority of extinction events seen in modern history. The new worldwide threat to biodiversity is habitat loss. Unlike its predecessors, we all play a role in it. Habitat destruction is divided into two main things: the places that we live and the goods that we consume. Most conservation to this date has focused on creating reserves whose resources we can't consume and where we can't live. These reserves have undeniably slowed biodiversity loss within their borders. But the paradigm with which they were created has had a cost. The average person's daily interaction with nature have decreased so dramatically in the last few generations that many people see nature as being completely distinct and incompatible with civilization. We have been nearly severed from the benefits and resilience robust ecosystems can provide. That is why the IUCN Red List #1 threat to species is residential and commercial development. This is not an accident. This is a lack of consideration of nature in our development process. Our choice of living situation has an outsized impact on biodiversity, which means in essence, we all are responsible for what happens to it. Now, assuming you wanted to help biodiversity, how could you? The first issue with urban restoration is that many owners of degraded land don't have the time or knowledge to restore it. These people currently leave the land fallow or rely on landscapers to maintain an artificial sense of order. Neither of these are good options. Fallow land is often inoculated with invasive species. A single acre of cheatgrass, tumbleweeds, or phragmites can obliterate biodiversity. Landscaping, too, has wide-ranging externalities. Misapplication of pesticides, herbicides, and fertilizers are commonplace. Landscapers also use leaf blowers that remove leaf litter and topsoil, which are both critical resources for overwintering invertebrates and foraging birds. They also advertise removing dead trees as a service. And dead trees are a critical resource for nesting birds and saprophytes and invertebrates as well. Landscaping is so bad that it's better to be characterized as a process that keeps ecosystems unhealthy. A new title should be used for those who promote the health of urban ecosystems to prevent confusion. I propose urban restorationist because I believe that wildlife is fundamental to the urban fabric. These specialists can act as the general contractors for private restoration projects, aligning timelines with resources and budgets. Particularly, this could help improve conditions along waterways adjoining private, commercial, and residential lands. The benefits we could see are huge because the majority of our waterways in the Wasatch Front first pass through urban lands. With incentives, these projects could also have goals that align with regional desired outcomes. But what if you were a property owner that wants to help but doesn't have the desire to hire a professional? The easiest place to start, in my experience, would be with native plants. But here in Utah, we immediately run into issues. If you were to go to a nursery, any nursery, you'd be lucky to find more than a couple species of native plants. And because nurseries are also businesses, these plants would also likely be asexually propagated to increase repeatability and to preserve aesthetic characteristics. This is completely insufficient for long-term restoration. Lacking genetic diversity is a big reason why species go extinct in the first place. So what we need is a system of grassroots growers. Even if you live in an apartment, you could grow 1 or 2 flats of native species. A Utah Flora 5th edition lists 3,277 native and indigenous plant species of Utah. That means that we need about 3,277 growers or less. For instance, if growers grew 10 plants, that would only be 330 people. This would go a long way towards helping the lack of native plants and the trades. The key to success for this is a network to connect growers with buyers and projects. And the reason that this hasn't happened really in the past. A project that I will be working on in the next year and years to come. Yards and lawns may not be attractive places for most conservationists. They show extreme fragmentation, rarely have enigmatic target species to protect, nor stunning vistas to preserve. But look twice. This is where the centers of our political power lie. This is where generations of people will grow up and most likely die. I can't ignore this potential, and nor should you. Thank you.
All right, we have some time for some questions, so just wait for a mic.
I'm one of those people who wants to transform my yard, and I've been to every nursery, and there are no local plants. Where can I get seeds? What do I do? I would love to do that.
Wow, that is such a great question. So I have cards with me. I'll give you a card, and I'll send you some things. I think Blake Wellard is somewhere in here. I don't want to shout him out because I know he's really busy. He grows some stuff. We'll get you some contacts. But this is why, to talk a little bit more on this, that this has to be the first talk I give, because I would love to give people easy recommendations for where to get native plants. And I really struggled with it. And as an urban restorationist, I've tried to create a business around doing this, and it's hard. I have to go to like 5 different nurseries to get enough species diversity that I'm confident it's a good project and product for someone. Thank you.
This was going to be more of a question, but it's a little bit of an answer to that first question. I was going to ask if you're familiar with the Ogden seed swap.
No, I'm not. However, my sister is, she's a medical student up there. So that sounds great. Again, please.
Yes, it's usually biannually, I think. It's usually twice a year as far as I know. It's hosted in Ogden, and you could probably search for it online, the Ogden Seed Swap. It's a great location. People will come together, farmers, heirloom seeds, native seeds, and share their collection.
Do you want to kind of give, is it like fall and spring? Do you kind of have a general sense to give people an idea of when that's going to occur? Because maybe I can see all of you there.
Yeah, I would defer to looking up online. I don't want to get the wrong date. But
Okay,
yeah.
okay, not to put you on the spot.
Yeah.
Yeah, another source of native plants is the Wasatch High School nursery. They're
Sorry, who's talking? Okay. Oh my gosh, hello.
Hi there. Yeah, someone was just asking about a source for native plants. The Wasatch High School, they're FHA students. They have a big greenhouse there, and they always have native plants available in pots, the variety of species. They do pollinators also. So yeah, Ideal Farms is the name of that.
Yeah, Ideal Farms, Matthew Utley is great. So they have like a couple of greenhouses, and they have like high school students grow out like native woody species. And I don't know if there's any like restoration business people in the audience, but it's also like a tax deduction. So like you can do nothing wrong by buying plants there. Yeah, go check out Ideal Farms. They're great. We have so many people coming out of the woodworks who know where to find native plants. Like, please contact me. Let's get a list together so we can have something to send out to people who are interested.
Utah Native Plant Society?
Yep, I'm a member. Yeah, are you a member?
Not currently, but
Not current.
there
Oh,
are
come on.
also geeks at the Wasatch Rock Garden Society who know natives really well, and they have a tour of gardens. But the meetings, I believe, of the Native Plant Society are on Zoom now, so it doesn't matter where you are. We have there are former members in California and Arizona who join, so you can get natives from all sorts of places.
You know, with the Native Plant Society, we were actually trying to set up the next meeting here, but apparently they still charge, I don't mean to be rude, but they still charge nonprofits a lot of money. And like the Native Plant Society is like mostly retired people that don't have like a ton of money. You know, it's not like a really rich nonprofit. And we're like, we can't do that. But yeah, I don't know. Also, if you guys know of any good meeting places for Native Plant Society meetings, that'd be great. I don't think Zoom's as good. I don't like Zoom, personally. But that's true. But yeah, I wonder how many Utah Native Plant Society members are out of states. It's a good question. I should ask. I know there's a couple because we have great native plants here. Like a lot of these nurseries, they sell like easy to sort of germinate plants, but there's so many like crazy cool plants. And it's one of the reasons that we have one of the highest bee diversities of any states. We have over 800 native species of bees. A lot of them are in the Grand Staircase Escalante region, but we have a good number, like I think about 700 northern native bees here too. And that's like coevolution with like floral structures and that kind of thing and pollen. So I think there's still great reason to get more native plants on the scene. Any other questions, comments, concerns?
Hi, I live in an apartment that's 11 stories. I'm on the 11th floor. I have huge windows on the east side. Tell me 2 or 3 species I should grow inside my apartment.
Oh man, so specific. Okay, I love that you have Eastern Light. That's really good. Okay, so I was hoping more people would like reach out to me for this, but you don't have to have any light whatsoever. You know, you can do, for like germinating species, you need to get like the scarification process down, and you don't necessarily need anything. And like, if you are able to germinate the species, there are people who just want like those little seedlings, because like being able to germinate something is an incredible achievement in and of itself. But to your question, let's see. So Eastern Light, what are a couple of things? I like any of the Asteraceae, any of the asters are really good choices. Those are anything with a composite flower like a sunflower. They typically are pretty easy to germinate. I would probably recommend, from what I've seen, trying to get like a lot of pollinators and that sort of thing. Wavy leaf thistle is one of my favorites. It's a beautiful plant. It's like biennial though, so it's not going to be in your yard forever. But seriously, if you go out and check these for like pollinators, you're going to see like tons of pollinator density and different types of species. So that's a good one. I would just start with one. No. You gotta find someone who wants to plant it and then take all the credit for it. That's what I do. Heck yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the process of building a small, quaint nature preserve, and we've got a 3-year grant with State Forestry and Fire to eliminate the Phragmites. But where can we get, as we move the one out, we want to move something else in. So what kind of access is there to, let's say, classic cattails and hardstem bulrush and that kind of stuff? Because that's a little bit tougher to find.
That's a good question for someone who has like a traditional restoration job. Yeah, talk to Blake. I have like I've had really good results with smothering like lawns and stuff. Fighting invasive species is like a whole separate thing. Phragmites is a scary foe.
Hey, sorry, I'm in the back here. I came a little
You don't
bit.
have to apologize for being back there. I see you.
Came a little late, but I just wanted to tap into the first gal's question and recommend the Utah Pollinator Habitat Program, if it wasn't already mentioned. Basically, you can apply, and it's sort of a state-funded thing, and we can kit your yard out with pollinator plants.
Is Mindy Wheeler's the one in charge of that program, yes?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man. So they give you, yes, use the Utah Pollinator Habitat Program. I want them to get away from like the D15 size things. Those are like those little skinny tubes because they're so hard to work with. Like you're prying it out. Like I took all of these, I had all these plants to plant, and I was like, oh shit, I don't have any popsicle sticks to pop out all these plants.
You got to give them like a really good squeeze.
Yeah, I try. I guess I have weak hands. I don't know. Yeah, but I love that. That is a great resource. Yes.
We also only have funding up till next year, so get it quick or help advocate to keep us alive.
Hi, can you tell us about the projects you have done and what kind of features are included them?
Yes. So we live in an apartment. It's just absolutely tiny. And I need to have, natural space around me. And I live in Mill Creek. There's not really much there. So I pitched to my landlord, hey, let me redo your yard or whatever. And he was like, okay. And so it's really like he paid me to do something for myself. And it's so lovely. We've had so much success with like fairy bees and also sweat bees. Just like, it's probably the most density of ground nesting bees I've ever seen in Utah in our front yard. There's like so many of them. I don't know why, but they really love like the red brick against the apartment. So they've got like this massive swarm that they're all just kind of happily going around. And of course, like insects colonize year after year. So every single year we're seeing new species in there. One of the things that really helped with that is we dug out a huge section and created this huge berm. And that's really helpful for them because they like loose soil to dig into. So we have like a massive colony all along there. And this next year, I want to get some like bumblebee containers and stuff in there because we see lots of cool things like golden northern bumblebees and all sorts of things in it. That's only one of my projects, but I'd bore you if I talked about all of them. They're not as successful necessarily as that one. That one kicks butt because the soil is great.
Yeah, I'm Robbie. I'm a habitat restoration biologist, so do a lot of...
Well met, sir.
Yeah.
Thanks
But,
for your work.
I just love your presentation. I think that's such a huge key. Being able to plant things where there's water in an urban environment is amazing, because we're doing all kinds of research to try to figure out how to plant a plant out in the rangeland where you get hardly any precipitation and get it to survive. So what you're doing and advocating for in the urban environment, I think, is key to getting a lot of these plants to where you have water. So it's awesome.
I thank you so much for bringing that up. And for me, this is like a really important thing. The last place that we're going to have fresh water on Earth is going to be like developed, civilized places, because we take what we want. We take what we want, and regardless of how much water there is, we're going to take the lion's share of it. So if we want to preserve species in the face of these mega droughts, we do need source populations in areas that are going to have water, So I am really passionate about this, obviously, that's why I do it. Not really a finality to that sentence, but that's okay.
Yeah. So I'm in the process of redoing my yard, okay? Is there any good resources where I could learn about like how to plant, how far away I should plant all these plants, and ideally get more biodiversity, like species-wise, like bees and insects?
Absolutely. There's all sorts of things out there. This is why we really need a network, because we need one place to be like, okay, this particular species has these native pollinators that people have seen on it locally, because it varies from place to place. Spacing is hard because like most of the native plants, you'll go to like the USDA ranges or whatever, and the sort of characteristics they give is just mostly height. And so you're like, okay, but if I'm trying to restore things and plant them the proper distance, how do I do that? It's every single plant you find, you have to go through this process. But yes, I don't have the resources with me right now, but if you want to contact me, I'll find some and send something to you.
Hello, my name's Seychelle. Thank you
Hey,
for your
Seychelle.
talk. Hi.
She's a like family friend.
Yeah.
Like a
yeah.
long time ago.
We've known each other
Lovely
since
person.
little kids. So my some of my favorite sources, the Pollinator Project is amazing. Also, Progressive Plants over by the copper mine, amazing source. You can go on their website and sort their plants by native, drought tolerant. They also harden their plants outside, so you have a much higher rate of success with those plants. Also, Deseret Nursery, local nursery on the Wasatch Front. They're amazing as well. And then if you're on the Wasatch back, High Mountain Nursery grows a huge amount of species of woody plants. And get in touch with the growers, and then they can always kind of like recommend the right species for your area. But yeah, like Steven's saying, looking up the species like by plant. And then usually there's like wildflower.org is I believe what it is, has the climate that they're in and also recommendations of like how much you should space them. But if you look at nature and see how nature spaces them, then that's kind of a good process to go by.
Yeah, what a good rule of thumb. In progressive, what is the second word? I can't remember. Progressive nurseries, farm? Progressive plants. Yeah. Being up here makes my memory go away. It's a crazy nursery. They're in like this weird little valley, and it's like a wind tunnel. They get like 100-mile-per-hour winds there. So dry. I can't believe they grow anything where they do. They're a little bit pricey, but yes, they do have larger size restoration, like pots. So they'll have like 5 gallons, and they'll have trees and such, which is really hard to find restoration material that's larger. So. And then High Mountain Nursery, Ian Peisner is the nurseryman there. I used to work with him at Tree, Utah. He's great, but he's not quite, I think, set up for retail yet. But yeah.
He is, but he's not always there. So contact him first, and then he'll bring you in. But like, if you just show up, it's kind of hard to find. They're growing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, we're tight, so I come in and I'm like, hey, Ian, can you get me some native plants? He's like, yeah, I can do that for you, Steven.
And then, Steven, we got one last question because we're running out of time.
Okay.
I was just going to do a quick plug. What's up, Steven? This is Paul from the museum,
Paul.
Natural History Museum. So Red Butte Garden, have you guys
Yeah, the native
been in
plant sale. Is that what you're going to mention?
And if
Yes.
you know Guy, really cool guy.
Yes.
Grand
Guy
Prismatic.
Banner.
Grand
Prismatic
Prismatic
Seeds.
Seed
Yes.
Company. So just a plug for that, yeah.
Yeah, oh my gosh, go to Prismatic Seeds. There's a bunch of great native seeds on that website. Guy Banner's great. Red Butte Gardens native plant sale is great. I'm not less familiar, but I'm sure
One more.
you are.
Just one last comment.
Hello.
Hi.
I don't usually do this, but I'm Steven's mom, and
That's right. Don't blame me for this. No.
he's a great kid. I wanted to give you a drive-by address if you wanted to see his work, and
No.
I'd say you might want to wait.
Don't
till
come to where I live. No, it's okay.
Spring.
Which one? Like my apartment or your place?
mine, but I can give your.
I
know.
live
So,
in.
anyways,
Let's do it. Let's do it. But not
I'll
yours.
trust you that you're
I
not
don't
going
like
to
yours yet.
bomb my house or anything, but it's 10137 South Majestic Canyon Road, Sandy.
You guys can get in contact me
I
and just
would
ask me
wait.
if you want to show up to my house. It's okay. You don't have to write that down.
It's beautiful.
All right, can we get another
Thank
round
you
of
so
applause for
much,
Steven?
everyone.